Well, hello there, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. We are live. If we haven't met yet, my name is Mitch Goldberg. I'm a financial advisor with the wealth management firm, Client First Strategy. Today's a special day because I have a wonderful guest. He's a good friend of mine, someone I've known for a long time. He is a businessman extraordinaire. His name is Rob Basso. I would definitely say he's a nationally recognized individual. He's been in the media a lot, but he's also a very kind person. He's a very generous person, and he's a very brilliant person. And I'm going to have him as my guest, and we're going to talk about what businesses and what people can do with their career to adapt to these days of social distancing. So first, a couple of the top stories of the day. So we saw a rally. We had a rally yesterday in the market after Monday and Tuesday being down about 1,200 points in the Dow. And then, so yesterday we had a rally. Today, the Dow was up about 400 and ended up only about up 39 points or so. And the other benchmarks, the S&P and the NASDAQ, were off fractionally, barely down. So it was a very flat day in the market. And things were going along pretty good until there was a report that Gilead said that a test of their drug remdesivir, which is what sparked the rally for the last 2 weeks, okay, that turns out the results weren't so terrific. Now, Gilead said that it wasn't really a full test. There weren't enough people. It was a bit flawed, and they still believe that their drug helps people with COVID-19 symptoms as long as people get it early in the disease, early in the progression of the disease. We'll see. But a lot of people were hanging their hat on that one drug. And that's the nature of drug approvals, of waiting for vaccines, that they are a trail of ups and downs, lots of disappointment, lots of lows, lots of highs, and you have to really learn how to moderate yourself. The other thing, the payroll protection program, you may have heard that Shake Shack received some money, I think about $10 million from that. They gave the money back. And you've also heard there was a lot of outrage about Ruth's Chris Steakhouse receiving something like $20 million. They just announced that they too are giving the money back. I guess they just couldn't handle the negative publicity, as they shouldn't, okay? This is meant for small businesses. So those are some of the big stories of the day. Oil today had another nice size rebound. Oil was up about 23% today. You can look these things up yourself, but after the rally we've had in oil yesterday and today, it certainly helps. We've seen record volatility. So yesterday I had as my guest Andrew Goldstein. He is the president of Atlas Commodities in Houston, Texas, and they are basically experts in the energy market. So if you want to take a look at that from yesterday, go ahead. It was highly educational, and he's a real insider. He used to work on the NYMEX. The day before that, I had John Robertson, owner of the Sexy Salad, which is a pretty substantial corporate caterer and eatery. And he's talking about how he's adapted and converted his store restaurant to a farmer's market with delivery. And on Monday, we spoke with my friend Michelle Blum, who owns nutrishmish.com. You should definitely take a look at all the content that I made this week. Every day this week, I've had a guest. It's not something that I've ever done before, but we can focus on the market and the economy anytime, but things haven't really changed much, except that the unemployment numbers came out again today. They were horrendous. Another 4 million plus jobs were lost. So we've had something like 25 million jobs lost in the last couple of weeks. And basically all of the jobs since we got out of the Great Recession 10 years ago have been lost, all of them. So it just goes to show you how horrendous the economic environment is. Georgia is opening tomorrow. That's going to be a very important test case to see what happens in Georgia, because if Georgia could pull it off, then a lot of other states will follow suit as well. So we'll have to see how that goes. And lastly, I have something I'm going to talk to Rob about, but I'll bring that up in a moment. So let me run the bumper introduction here and get this going, because we've got a lot to cover with Rob Basso. Here we go. Okay, folks, so we're going to bring on Rob Basso in 1 second. If you're watching this in the live stream right now, I'd like to welcome you. Feel free to ask Rob questions, myself questions, That's what the comment section is for. Your words of encouragement are greatly appreciated. And if you're watching this in the replay, I'd like to welcome you as well. Certainly, if you have any questions, ask away in the comments. Rob and I will be checking for those, and we will definitely get back to you. So without further ado, let me bring in the man, the myth, the legend. I'm really building this up, and he's a pretty plain-spoken guy, but here we go.
I don't think I've had an introduction like that since my mom maybe introduced me when I was in middle school. So thanks, Mitch. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome, and I appreciate you. You know what I was thinking? Do you know that 10 years ago, I made a video with you and a few other people. I made a series of videos, the state of small business getting out of this recession 10 years ago. Do you remember that?
I do, and I can't believe it's been a decade, and we both survived it, and the economy survived it, and I'm glad to say we're going to survive this too, Mitch.
So. We will. And remember, you gave the examples of how one of your customers, I think it was Rose Fence, and they're still around because I see them on Joker Turnpike, how they were extruding their own plastic, and they really figured out how to adapt and get through that tough time. You remember that?
They did. In fact, it was a boon for them too. They actually, they out of the downturn, they ended up not only being one of the biggest manufacturers, they ended up turning and selling the product to lots of other people. They did really well with the innovative approach that they took.
Well, that's what I want to talk to you about. So 10 years have gone by. We haven't had a need to talk about this stuff for 10 years. But I feel like, in a lot of ways, some people were very prepared for this because they could be, certain regulatory issues such as having disaster contingency plans in place, things like that. And that's one of the things that I think you focus on with your handbooks. You're CEO of Associated Human Capital Management. That's one of the things you do. So I'm going to turn it over to you. What are you advising your customers to do to get through this? What are they doing? Any creative things that stand out to you? Go ahead.
Well, there's a couple of examples. One of my clients actually was a corporate caterer in an offsite catering company, and they had to figure out how to keep the lights on because they were basically doing zero business, and they actually turned it into a food delivery service and completely changed their model. They had trucks, they had people, they had the availability to do it. So there are so many unique ways that small business owners can help themselves. Just look at any restaurant where you could have had a full service restaurant with 50 tables inside, and some of them are still in business because they were able to turn on a dime and say, okay, what are we going to do to keep revenue coming in this place, to keep the lights on and keep some of the employees going?
You see the sign behind me?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
You see the sign, folks?
Yeah, I see. We're close.
It's kind of right behind me, but that's just, I look at that on Main Street. That is a sign of the times. Sorry, we're closed due to COVID-19.
Yeah, and what happens is these guys have turned it into a strong delivery service. And I bet you some of the things that some of these folks are doing are going to continue past this pandemic, and they're going to make it part of their business model. So the simple advice that I could give at a high level is, just because you haven't done it before, as long as you're going to offer a relevant product or service that has something to do with what you used to do while things are in a different state, be creative and think about things. Think about how to solve problems. The reason entrepreneurs exist is to solve other people's issues and challenges. So if you focus on the market challenges with the product or service that you offer, you're going to generally have some sort of result. That's my 10,000-foot view.
I like to say to people, don't sell me, solve me.
Yeah.
Just a little tidbit I picked up along the way. So businesses are adapting, and you have lots of resources that you offer to your clients.
Right.
So what kind of resources do you have? I know you have handbooks, and I think you have like disaster and preparedness.
Well, I mean, yeah, clearly the proper handbook that discusses challenges and so forth are really important. And I think this particular COVID-19 crisis is going to forever change the employee handbook on how certain things get handled. But one of the things that we're really expert at is gathering information, assimilating that information, and then being able to disseminate that information to our clients. And I'm speaking about the CARES Act with the Paycheck
Okay.
Protection Program, with the Family First Act. All of this is very heavy weighted stuff. And there's a lot of minutia and detail. So we've spent basically the last 3.5 or 4 weeks, our call volume has gone up 300% because people don't know how to deal with it. So they're relying on us to help them figure out all of these special programs that the government are running. But this is really nothing new for us as far as being an expert on things that change quickly. This
Mhm.
is something we've been doing for a long time. It's just happening at a crushingly fast rate. And we are just up to speed to be able to help our clients. So it's not surprising that the general marketplace is still concerned, confused, not understanding. That's where professional firms like mine come in to kind of fill the gap. Um, we always say that no matter what, at the end of the day, you should be checking with your attorney, your accountant, but we're a good aggregator and disseminator of information, all things COVID related.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I have your website in view right now.
Yeah,
HCM
if you look at the bottom, there's a resource center, and you click that red
right here. I
arrow at
see
the
that
bottom,
associate HCM right over here.
we're
More
updating
information.
we're updating that constantly to get people the information that they need to figure out what they need to do in their own business. And there's
Hmm.
probably not an hour that doesn't go by where we get a call asking how to fix something, how to do something, how does this credit work? Did you fix your systems properly so my accounting is done appropriately? It's been a massive undertaking to get the programming all changed to keep up with these government systems. And, we're right on track, and our clients are thankful that we're here.
I'm I'm sure, and because I happen to know you, and I've been on Zoom calls with you and all that, you're always a wealth of information, and the people you have are also out on Zoom calls and talking. You've hired a really solid group of experts, so you've got a lot of people. I've been in your building before, so I see how, and it's a beautiful, gorgeous building. I see how many people are there, and they're all experts. So I'm familiar with the people there. And you do payroll services, tax filing for businesses, HR support, time and labor management. There's a lot more to it that you do.
Well,
Um,
one of the things that's been hot right now, and
mhm.
we've been telling our clients about, is because of this massive shift from people working at home, there were plenty of companies that were already accustomed to having a few employees work remotely, but very few of my clients have had 100% of their clients working, or their employees working remotely. And there's an issue with tracking your employees and seeing who's working, seeing who's logged in. If you were a small business owner and you had 20 or 30 people, and you were the owner and you could see who was working in your office, there's significant value of having a time and attendance system at your location. But now that everybody's at home, you don't even know for certain if they've logged in, if they've started their workday. So we have GPS enabled and web enabled time and attendance systems where you don't need any hardware. All you need is a smartphone or an internet connection. And now the business owner or manager can see who's logged in, who's on break. They didn't even know these products existed. So some of the things that we've had available to us for years.
That is incredible. That to me is I feel like that's the leap to say you can manage productivity. That's the big worry about having remote workers is a drop in productivity, a drop in collaboration.
Well, there's other programs available which we're just installing, which we don't offer directly, but we're putting on our staff members' systems, where you'll get to see a snapshot every 10 minutes what website they're on. You'll get to see which programs they're in and for how long they're in those programs. It's not about trusting your staff. It's about trusting but verifying the work gets done, and understanding that they know this stuff is being monitored. Listen, I trust my staff implicitly. They've done a wonderful job. But the simple fact of the matter is some of this might not be going away anytime soon. And companies that are accustomed to having fully outsourced people have been doing this type of stuff for a long time. So the products exist. It's just going to be a new market for those people that weren't accustomed to having to track these people. So listen, some folks might say, "Oh, that's like Big Brother watching." No, it's about productivity. It's about managing the entire situation to give the client the best experience. And without that data to understand what your staff member is doing, you can't appropriately staff your business. Listen, I think at some point we're going to have some of the people back at my office, but I've pretty much made a decision that we're going to have a rotating staff where some folks are going to be in here on a regular basis and some folks are going to be at home, and we're going to rotate them because the working at home situation is working well and really people enjoy it. You would not know as a client that my staff is not all sitting at my office right now. You'd have no idea unless I told you. That's how well it's working.
I think a lot of companies are going to find that out, and they are already finding it out. Probably a lot of companies are questioning their real estate footprint. Now, you guys have made some decisions to retain employees, and you've done a couple of things to make sure your business is protected. Because, listen, if you you have to help yourself to help your clients. It's kind of like, when you're flying in the airplane, they always say, parents, please put the oxygen mask on first before you help the children.
It sounds awful, but it does make sense.
Yeah, that is it's an awful one, but it's true. You have to help yourself and take care of your business to take care of other people. So what are some things that you guys are doing? Well, you're doing the work from home, the remote working, and it's going very well for you. You're keeping up with all the rules and regulations. Now, people don't know this, but you've been in some form of HR for basically your entire adult life.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
It's been a long time. So you've always had to adapt to changes in tax law, regulatory issues. This is nothing new for you. Like you said, it's just happening at lightning speed right now.
Well, I mean, like some of the simple things, which are now law, but we had done previously, even the few people that we have in the building and our folks working at home, we're getting everybody their PPE packages so they can protect themselves with their masks. We're doing all the typical health things that you should do. We've got printed floor placement stickers to have all over the floor. So when the staff starts coming back, it'll give specific rules on to distance properly. We have the proper HR posters posted, so it shows the proper etiquette now in meetings and spacing within a facility. We're spacing people out in their cubicles so they're not right next to each other. We're doing everything possible to protect the staff, to make them feel comfortable. Even though we are an essential business and I could have my staff working here, they're not comfortable with it. And I don't think it was the right decision to keep them here. And if we could work from home, why not? So, but we're also getting the payroll, the Paycheck Protection Program for ourselves. Our money just arrived today. At the end of the day,
congratulations.
Yeah, it was a long time coming, but we're happy for the federal program. The truth is, we probably would have made it without it, but the simple fact is it makes it a heck of a lot easier. We're a stable company and we always have been. This just takes a lot of the pressure off, and it also makes the staff feel more confident in the stature of the company, and it makes my clients feel more comfortable. So we're doing everything we can, and there's a lot of communication. Not only are we emailing properly, we're setting in checkup meetings with our managers every morning, bright and early, before the day gets started on all COVID-related matters so they understand what the task at hand is. And at the end of every day, the managers have their own call to wrap up the day, because you used to be able to do that in person. You used to walk over to somebody's cubicle or office. Now you have to set up the system.
It has to be, like you said, it has to be a system. It's got to be scheduled. So listen, I want to do just a couple of welcomes to some people out there. Okay. First of all, I want to say to John Tutt. Do you know John?
I know John. Hi, John.
John Tutt. Well, I'll tell you, John and I have known each other. We were in kindergarten together.
John and I met at CrossFit in Huntington.
Okay, I'm happy to hear that. And here he is. You see his comment on the screen?
Yeah.
Rob is a great guy. So you've got a fan out there. So that's terrific. We have Bill. Good afternoon, Bill. And no worries, you missed it the last couple of days. But hey, you're here so often. I greatly appreciate any time that you could give to the show. Be the boss of your money. By the way, Rob, that's what I call the show you see on the graphic up top. Be the boss of your money. So, Bill, it's always good to see you. You can always watch stuff, watch those other videos in the replay. But I appreciate you here. We've got Frank, ready to learn. Mitchell Goldberg, as always. Frank, you're so supportive. Thank you very much. Good friend of both Rob and me. Andrew, I hope I am unfrozen. I could go for some froyo right now, but I hope I am unfrozen. Andrew, you were phenomenal. Andrew was a guest yesterday. He's an expert. He's in Houston, Texas. He knows all about the oil market and how it works and what happened with the big plunge in oil and the futures and all that. So he is just a fantastic person to speak with. And if you watch that from yesterday, I think you learn a lot. You can always reach out to him also. We've got Frank out here again. It must be on your end perfect for me. You hear that, Andrew? It's perfect for Frank. Okay, that happens sometimes. Okay, Andrew says it's good now. All good, my brother. And we've got Eric out there. Great saying, solve me. He likes that. Don't sell me, solve me. I appreciate that. And we've got a couple of hearts and from Herb Schwartz. Thank you, Herb. You know, Herb is mine, so right back at you. And Sarah Ann is out there, and we'll just take a quick look at who's out there in LinkedIn land. And hope you don't mind, Rob. This is part of the fun for me, you know.
I'm glad you're having fun, Mitch.
Yeah, so Keith Wilson is out there. Keith, thank you very much. And he says, great comment, Rob.
While Mitch is reading, I'm just going to kick back and relax. So,
okay, so you do that, and it's all good. And who else is out there? Got a few people out there. We have Paul. Paul is out there. Paul Greco. Paul, good to see you, man. It's always great that you're out there. And I appreciate your support, and we seem to agree on a lot of things. But I appreciate that, even if you don't agree on a couple of things. So I want to show you something on the screen. Okay, you might have to lean forward for this one.
Okay.
Okay, because the unemployment, there's been a big addition to the unemployment. $600 per week for 8 weeks or something, right?
Yeah. It officially ends at the end of July, where you're able to get this supplemental federal unemployment, and it's creating all kinds of controversy because in some instances, those modestly or low-paid individuals could end up making more by not working. And it's a big to-do in the media. And, you know, my feeling is I don't think things like that are going to be rampant where folks are quitting because of it. But I think it is going to happen. Just like any government program, there's going to be folks that take advantage of it. But I think when the market turns and things get better, those people are going to be very unhappy that they quit just to get this supplemental payment for a short period of time. So let's hope Americans aren't that short-sighted, but that remains to be seen.
Well, the way I see it is Americans, you know, we'll get back to business, but even if, you know, we start opening up business again, all the states start opening besides just Georgia, and we start getting back to business. It's not going to happen overnight. So, you know, once the benefits start to run out or you start to get to the end of your benefits, as an employer, and I have staff that, you know, I would look at that. That would affect how I bring people back. And it got me thinking about this article here up on the screen. This really has been making waves, this article. It's been one of the top trending articles all day on CNBC.com. She got a forgivable loan. Her employees hate her for it. And basically her employees are very angry with this business owner because they were making more money staying at home. And, you know, she is perceived as someone who wrecked their stay-at-home vacation plan.
Well, you're not listen, too bad for them is what I say. I mean, that unfortunately is, it, you know, could be the case. This poor lady's getting beat up in the public because people don't want to work for the money that they earn. And that's quite shameful if you ask me. So,
yep. Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that. So I want to just ask you a couple more questions, and then we'll wrap things up. And I appreciate the wealth of information. So if somebody were to come to you and they're talking to you about business, we have to survive. You know, some people don't want to cut costs too quickly. They have to, but you know, what do you tell them? You furlough some employees, give some of your employees an across-the-board pay cut to keep them on payroll. You know, what do you see people doing, and how do you advise people? How do you advise your friends?
No, I think it depends. The answer is it depends on the type of business and the exact situation that business is in at the time. The majority of my clients have decided to keep most of their staff and do pay reductions. And I think the reason that they chose to do this is because they wanted some semblance of parity and fairness, rather than saying, well, here, you 6 people need to be terminated because you're not quite as valuable. They wanted to send the message to say, we're in this together. and we're all going to have to take a haircut. I've seen many CEOs and presidents and leaders abandon their own paycheck, not take a paycheck at all to make sure that they pay folks. Now, you hear about this in the media, and it's done with, people that are probably making millions of dollars, but I'm seeing it done with business owners that are already only making modest incomes themselves, just to be able to say, I'm doing the right thing by my employees. I have seen folks have to furlough people and give folks pay cuts. But what I am seeing as a trend is, now that people are getting their Paycheck Protection Program money, I can look at my own client base, and out of the 12 or 13% of my clients that paused their payroll, 3% of them have come back in the last 2 weeks. So that's a promising sign that the loans are making an impact to get people back to work. There is no simple answer, Mitch. It really depends on the personality of the business owner and how they value their long-term relationship with their employees. So it's a tough call no matter what place you're in when you run a business.
Yeah, well, people get hurt, and feelings get hurt as well. Okay. By the way, hey, we have a nice hello out there from Joanne. You see that, Joanne Wincart? Cave. Nice to see you, Joanne. Always a pleasure. And I hope your fitness routine is getting back into gear. That's terrific. We're all friends on Facebook as well, and that's part of the fun. That's the part that I like. And so my last question is, with so many restaurants closed and small businesses closed, what do you think what do you think is going to be different in the business landscape once things open? I mean, everyone says things will never be the same, but it's hard to envision. Do you think you'll see more whitewashed windows up and down Main Street in Huntington, for example?
Well, the answer is I hope not. On that front, I happen to live in the Huntington area, and I love my downtown. But what I think is, you're going to see there's going to be different opportunities. I think one thing that America has always been good about is turning to what seems a significant negative into a positive. And there are many businesses which are probably going to spring up about this. Like, for example, the boon right now with companies like Zoom, with companies that are figuring out how to help small business owners work from home. So while some industries are seeing a downturn, others, maybe only a few, are seeing an uptick. These types of situations create innovative ideas and concepts to come about. So what I think is going to happen is there's going to be a slow crawl back to some semblance of normal. What that new normal is, you might as well be, asking us when we're going to get to Mars and start colonizing. I don't think anybody really knows. It would be conjecture.
That's the honest answer. That's what we want. Thank you. That's what we get from you. So
I do appreciate that. But if you're asking my opinion, I think that, we're going to have to be cognizant of this particular, type of threat and illness, probably for the rest of our lives and maybe generations to come. America was wholly unprepared, even though we knew the possibility was coming. I don't think we're going to make that mistake again. So even if we have a COVID-2 or something else years from now, this country is going to handle it a lot better because we see the carnage that's been laid because we didn't take it seriously.
Right. Hey, Rob, I want to thank you so much for your time, for your wisdom. It was really very interesting. I always learn new things when I speak with you, and I hope everybody else did. That's the goal here, folks, to bring you value. That's what the show is all about. And I definitely feel like you helped me deliver, Rob. So thank you very much. And I will speak to you soon. I'm going to go solo from here on. I'll speak to you soon, buddy. Thank you. Bye. Okay, folks. So that was my friend Rob Basso. Really good guy. If you have any questions for him, certainly ask away. Phil, great to see you, my friend. Hello there, and thank you so much for being a part of this this journey. I really appreciate you coming along for the ride and your support. So let's see if anybody else out there is in LinkedIn land. There's a few people out there also, some voyeuristic people out there who are checking it out. I appreciate that, whoever you are, wherever you are. And that's about it. So if you have any questions about this, and that you think of later, certainly ask away in the comments. We will see them. I know I will be looking out for them. I'll be back tomorrow at 4:30, back to going solo, and I'll speak with you very soon. Again, thank you.